We've all had that fantasy, right? Winning the lottery. But what if that dream just completely implodes into a real-life nightmare? Well, that's exactly what happened to Abraham Shakespeare. This is the story of how a winning ticket basically became his death warrant. And it all kicked off with this one insane number, $30 million. Can you even imagine? Back in 2006, this guy from Florida, Abraham Shakespeare, hits the jackpot. This was supposed to fix everything, you know? Instead, it was just the beginning of the end.
Yeah, it definitely didn't solve his problems. In fact, it created a fatal one. So that's the big, terrifying question, isn't it? How does a guy with $30 million in the bank end up buried in someone's backyard? Let's follow the money trail.
See, before all this, Abraham Shakespeare was just known as a good, generous guy. But after he won, his life just spun into chaos. And then in 2009, poof, the millionaire just vanished. His family, his friends, no one could get a hold of him. It was like he just dropped off the face of the planet.
So, to really get how he could just disappear, we have to rewind to the very beginning, to that one little piece of paper, the winning ticket. I mean, this thing was supposed to be his golden ticket, his key to a better life. Instead, it was, well, a one-way ticket to tragedy.
And the change wasn't gradual, it was instant, like absolutely life-altering. One day, he's a truck driver's assistant, just living his life. The very next, boom, he's a multimillionaire. But trying to handle that kind of seismic shock, that's where all the cracks started to appear. And this really gets to the heart of the whole tragedy. The money wasn't a blessing, it was a trap, a gilded cage, you know? What was supposed to be his ticket to freedom actually became his prison. It wasn't a tool, it was a weapon that just cut him off from everyone.
Just try to imagine it. Seriously, almost overnight, everyone, friends, family, total strangers, they all want a piece of your pie. The pressure must have been just crushing. And he was a generous guy by nature, but there's no way anyone could keep up with that kind of endless demand.
So this is basically the playbook for how the trap closes in. It's simple but deadly. First, everyone finds out you're rich. Then they all come asking for handouts. Pretty soon, you have no idea who to trust. And that's when you become vulnerable, and you make the mistake of trusting the absolute wrong person. Right when he was at his most isolated, this woman shows up. Her name was Doris Moore, but she went by Dee Dee. And she played the part of a savior perfectly. She offered to help him manage his money, protect him from all the people hounding him. And in his desperation, he bought it. He thought he'd finally found an ally. What he really found was his own killer. And just look at how fast this all happened. He wins the lottery in 2006. A couple of years go by, he meets this so-called friend. And then, almost immediately after, he's just gone. For months, nobody has a clue where he is until the police find something truly awful. Okay, this is where the story gets really, really disturbing. While his family is panicking, messages like this are coming from his phone. But it wasn't him. It was Dee Dee Moore. She was using his phone to trick everyone, pretending to be Abraham, just to make it seem like he decided to go off-grid and enjoy his money in private. But, a lie that massive is almost impossible to keep up. The cracks started to show. Her stories didn't add up, and Abraham's family kept pushing. They knew something was wrong. So the police started digging, and her whole calculated plan started to fall apart. And what the investigation uncovered was just cold, hard, and calculated. This woman he trusted, all she ever wanted was his money. She systematically took control of everything. His house, his cars, all his millions. She just transferred it all into her name. Her most powerful weapon in all of this was his phone. With that little device, she could create a kind of digital ghost of Abraham. She could send texts, make it seem like he was alive and well, just living it up somewhere. So she's got his money, she's got his phone. In her mind, she was untouchable. She really thought she'd constructed the perfect crime, that nobody would ever figure it out. But she made one huge miscalculation. She got arrogant. And she came so close to getting away with it. But every perfect plan has a weak spot, right? So what was it? What was the one fatal error that brought her whole house of cards tumbling down? Well, it turns out it was the oldest mistake in the book. She just couldn't keep her mouth shut.
She tried to pay an informant to take the blame for the murder. But that person, they went straight to the cops and agreed to wear a wire. Her own words, caught on tape, ended up being the final nail in her coffin.
So the case is closed, the killer is in jail. What do we take away from all this? Because this isn't just some crazy true crime story you hear about. It's a real tragedy, and it teaches us some incredibly powerful lessons about money, about trust, and yeah, about human nature.
So let's break down the takeaways here. First, if you ever come into a ton of money, you need a legit plan and a solid team around you. It's just too risky otherwise. Second, be really careful about friends who suddenly pop up when things are going well for you. Third, your trust is maybe the most valuable thing you have. Protect it. And finally, remember that your digital footprint, your phone, your texts, can be used to write a story about you that you're not actually writing.
In the end, Abraham Shakespeare's story really makes you look at your own life and ask a pretty tough question. If everything changed for you tomorrow, if you suddenly became that winning lottery ticket, who would really be in your corner? Who could you actually, truly trust?